Today, I want to share with you how would I learn to code and get the first job if I could start over again. It took me a long time to find the best way to approach coding, and I made a lot of mistakes along the way. Now, having many years of experience, I discovered the best roadmap that really works. So, if you're a beginner who's interested in learning to code, or maybe you're just struggling to make progress, in this video I'm gonna show you the exact steps that you should follow from learning to code to your first job. So let's begin. Before I show you the roadmap, I want you to know that there are two main ways that you can take in order to learn coding and get the first job. First will be the paid roadmap, and I know that there aren't many of you who want to spend money when there are plenty of resources out there. But let me start with this one. In this case, you will look for a mentor or a course that contains an accountability person that takes care of you, and that person should be a must. I lost the count of people who I know that bought a course, usually from Udemy, and at some point they give up, or even after they finish the course, they have no idea what to do next and they drop out there. A mentor usually have a roadmap for you, and you don't need to think about what I should do next. You just need to learn and follow the process. Easy as that. But from my knowledge, those mentors will involve a cost, and usually the cost for those are from 1K to 5K. But if you have the budget and the motivation, I advise you to go for it. Now, the second path that you can take is the one that involves no money, only motivation and hard work. My roadmap is based on this, and if you follow it all the way to the end, it's impossible to not get a job. The first step in our journey is to pick and stick with a position, and this one can be affected based on the jobs from your local area, because at least at the beginning, I don't recommend you to take a remote position. Let me give you some position examples. Front-end developer. This role is responsible for the user interface of the web application, and usually you should know HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and few more. Backend developer. This role is more focused on the server side of the application, and here you should know languages like Python, Ruby, or PHP. Full stack developer. This role will involve both front-end and back-end, and here can be a variety of languages, but for example you can have HTML, CSS and JavaScript for the front end and PHP for the back end. Mobile developer. This role is responsible for developing mobile application, and kinda makes sense, and in terms of technologies you can use Java, Swift or Kotlin. DevOps engineer. This role is responsible for managing software development process, including building, testing, and deploying the software. Basically, it's more on the server side. Moving on, data scientist, responsible for analyzing large amount of data, and here you can use Python or R. The last one is UX UI designer, and this one basically you don't need any coding experience, but is more focused on the design of the application for both web and mobile. Before moving on, drop a comment below. I want to know what position do you want to learn. Let's say that you have a position in mind, so let's jump to the second step in our journey, the actual learning process. And here my advice will be to search for jobs in your area, go into the description and get the skills and create a list with them. After 10 jobs, you will notice that there is a pattern there with the skills that you need to learn. Another approach will be to search on Google or YouTube what you need to learn. But my advice will be to do this as a plus for the first method. But let me warn you, don't get stuck here and watch countless videos on YouTube and at the end learn nothing. 1 or 2 days should be more than enough for you to get a list of skills that you should learn. After a few months of learning and doing small projects while learning, it's time for you to think of an application a bit more advanced where you can use all the skills that you acquired in this time. For your first job, this type of project will increase your chances of getting that position by a lot. This project can be added to your CV, and if the interview is not a typical one with paper and fixed questions, you will talk about what you build and you will receive questions based on that. Personally, I faced this type of interview multiple times till now, and if you're prepared, you can score and get the job. I previously said something about CV, so yeah, at this point you should create a professional looking CV, and that's really important because that's the first impression that an employer gets about you. And if the CV is not good enough, you will receive an email that starts with "unfortunately." But most of the companies don't even send an email. In this area, I can give you a few tips. So on the top of the CV, you should have the contact information. And here you should have the phone number and the email, at least those two. If not even the LinkedIn profile or GitHub. And you should check at least 5 times that those data are correct, because it kind of sucks after few weeks find out why no one is calling you. Or write only information that are relevant to that job. No one cares about your full history. And here at the working experience, you should place that project that you created in the previous step. You should have also a skills section. And here, please don't use percentages for languages, because it makes no sense, and I already talked about that in one of my previous videos, how to get the job as a software developer, so you can check that one. I will drop the link in the description below. So moving on, let's say that you are already learning for, I don't know, 5 months already. In your skills section, you can place there 1 year of experience for each skill. One less thing will be to add a description about you in About Me section. And there you can write something like, I have a passion to write code and I'm always happy to learn new skills, or some bullshit like this, but don't make it too long. Now we finish with the CV, but before moving on applying to jobs, it's quite important to have a list with questions and answers that you will receive at almost every job. Like for example, tell me something about you. Why did you apply to this company? I saw that you have a project in your CV. Can you tell me more about it? You should expect to receive those type of questions, and it's better to be prepared and deliver a professional answer. The next step is where most of you get stuck, applying to jobs. And here I know many of you think that are not good enough to apply to that specific job, or I don't know, you had a failed interview and the first thing that you do is to learn more and forget to apply to jobs. If you already finished with all the previous steps, your job now is to apply. And after that, if you still have time left, you can learn more things. But only after that. You should be prepared to be rejected multiple times, and that's totally normal. But keep your head up, because at the end of the day, you should be accepted only once. One last tip that I can give you is at the end of the interview, to take some notes about the question that you didn't know. You will notice that after 3 interviews, some questions will be the same. That's the only thing that you should improve in terms of skills. Okay, so now we're at the end of the roadmap. So if you did all those steps, you're gold. Before I finish, I want to give you one more piece of advice, and that's about the learning process. Here is the most difficult one, and I'm pretty sure that it is a high chance of you to give up. What you should do next is to find a person that will track your progress, and every week you will discuss with that person to see the improvement from the last week. And it may seem like a small thing and unimportant, but trust me, if you have problems with the motivation, this will help you a lot. So yeah, that's the way I would learn to code if I could start over again. Simple and boring, but you don't need more. This is the perfect roadmap that will get you a job in tech. You just need to stick with the process. That's all. Till next time, stay safe.